Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we're going to have Evan. Evan is from Houston in Texas in the USA. So let's see what Evan has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello?
Hey,
Hello Evan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Very well. Thanks so much for taking the time for the interview today. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I watched a few of the clips on Instagram and on YouTube, and I was like, oh, okay, I can get with this. It's casual.
My God, I love your earrings.
Oh, thank
Beautiful.
you. I got these from the secondhand store called Buffalo Exchange. It's a chain,
Uh-huh.
and it was the whole set. It was like the earrings, a necklace, and bracelet for like $30. It was a great
Wow.
deal. Yeah.
Amazing. And how's your morning going so far?
Pretty good. So I'm not working, so I made oatmeal for myself. I went and got coffee. I picked up my groceries curbside. So
Amazing.
Mhm.
Tell me where you're from, Evan.
So I'm originally from New Orleans,
Mhm.
but I live in Houston now.
Oh, why the change from New Orleans to Houston?
I have an aunt and uncle that live here, and I wanted to go to beauty school here in Houston. There was a really good beauty school for aesthetics,
Okay.
and he just happened to live like 15 minutes from the school I wanted to go to, and so that's okay, there you go. So that's why I came here. I could go to school and live with them, so live for free, and that was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's why you have this beautiful shiny skin.
yeah, exactly. I walk twice a day.
Wow, wow. And do you visit as well back to New Orleans since you left or not? Yeah?
Yeah, so my whole family's from New Orleans, so even the aunt that I live with here, she moved here like 13 years ago, so we go back pretty often, a few times a year.
I see. So your job is in a beauty business.
Not anymore, actually. So I was an esthetician doing facials and body treatments
Mhm.
for about a year and a half, and then I changed industries altogether because I also have my bachelor's in psychology. So I became
Wow.
an admin assistant for a PR firm. I was
Wow.
there for 2 years, and that was fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Great.
and then yeah, and then I worked in public mental health as an admin again for a little bit until I had to stop working.
Easy. Right. So before we start our journey, William the Magic Box, I would like you to tell me something interesting about yourself.
Okay. Interesting about myself. Um, I I recently developed this interest of Eastern traditions, actually. So I love learning about different religions. That's sort of now my hobby since my most recent surgery is like I started off going to YouTube, looking up like for like an easy understanding of different things. So I started off with the Eastern Orthodox Church, and then slowly got into learning about Hinduism and then Buddhism, and now I'm learning about Taoism.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, yeah,
Tell me about the surgery you had recently.
yeah. So recently I had a third surgery on my collarbone. Initially, I was so 18 months ago. I was in a car accident. In the car accident, I ended up no one else was involved, but I flipped my car, and then
Mhm.
I landed on this like mound of grass, which then went into my collarbone. And
Wow.
so, yeah, it was so severe. I mean, a collarbone was like in pieces like this on the inside. So, the most recent one was to a reconstruction of my collarbone because the bones haven't healed yet, even though it's been like 18 months. So.
Wow. But do you still feel some pain or kind of recovering well
Yeah,
since the
it's,
yeah?
yeah, definitely some pain still. Yeah, so I still have pain, but it gets to the point I just have to like I'll use a heating pad. I'll take some pain pills, like Tylenol, just enough so that I can like go somewhere. Because then
Mhm.
I'll get into a point where the pain is so much I don't want to go anywhere, but it's like I need to get out the house. So yeah,
Oh, oh, amazing. I'm sure one point
we
everything's
still have
gonna be
some
back.
pain with it.
I'm sure one point everything's gonna go back to the way it was, or better than
Yeah,
it was.
let's hope.
For sure, for sure. Right, Evan, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views?
Yes, let's go.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So, this is my best friend. Look from the fun questions.
Okay.
I'm just gonna play a song now for us to relax a bit before the first question, okay?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Mm, mm, mm,
Oh
mm.
wow, look at you. Amazing. Evan, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about for some reason, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Okay.
Right. First question for you is, what gives you butterflies?
Actually, getting into drag, but for a good reason. So, which is how you found me.
Mhm.
Drag, it's like a way of self-expression. And so, when I construct even my face, because the type of drag I do is very avant-garde in makeup. So I'm trying to go through, okay, what dress am I gonna wear? What's the event? And then slowly constructing. Like I have an idea in my head, but I'll slowly try to build it up. And then once it's out in public, I'm like, okay, I hope everyone. I'm excited. I'm nervous because like I hope people like it, but at the same time, like I know it's mine, and I think that's really where the butterflies come from. Like it's my. It's like for me, it's similar to if I painted like on a canvas and I put it in a gallery. It's that same feeling.
Wow. Actually, I
Mhm.
made a note here about your your drag, and actually, as you already touched on it, the topic. Am I? Tell me if I'm saying right the name. Is Tasa Galore?
Jaja, Jaja galore.
Jaja Galore. So
Yeah.
tell me how Jaja Galore was born. Tell me, walk me through a little
Okay.
bit about her journey.
Yeah. So I'm part of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, and so I met one of the sisters one Halloween. I was out as the Wicked Witch of the West in full drag, like green makeup and everything. And so they spotted me. One of the sisters asked if I'd heard about them and then invited me to a meeting. And at that point, I had done drag here and there, mostly for Halloween.
Mhm.
And then once I got into it, I learned like what the local house was about, and the name came from. I, I've always been a fan of old Hollywood, so there's this. There we go. There's this Hollywood actress, Zsa Zsa Gabor, and she was an old Hollywood actress, a socialite, known for just being glamorous but also having a sharp tongue. That being able to like be myself but also glamorously and hold myself a certain way, in drag. That's how Zsa Zsa Galore came about.
And do you perform sometimes, or you just dress up when you are together in your community?
I do perform sometimes. It's usually for fundraisers.
Mhm.
So there's some other organizations in town that'll do fundraisers, and we've done fundraisers as well as an organization. So I usually do a lip sync number or two, but most of it is just like going out and just like being a presence, like just to be my unapologetic self, so that others can be that as well.
Amazing. All right. Next question. Let's do it. Next question is, what makes you the happiest?
Oh, okay. I would have to say spending time with my friends and like certain family members. I like hearing other people's stories and what they're up to and just sharing ideas and stuff like that. I'm a big social butterfly. It's interesting. So I'm sort of a social introvert. I love my alone time, but then once I'm ready to be around people, it's like I'm very open and to conversation. So um, yeah, that makes me the happiest. Really, even don't have to do anything like big. It's literally I'll just hang out with people. We'll sit on the back patio and chit chat. That's kind of stuff that really makes me happy.
Most of your best friends, they live in Houston, or some of them, they still live in New Orleans?
Yeah, I have a few that still live in New Orleans, and also over time I've made friends with people. Like they'll come visit Houston, or they visited New Orleans and they're from somewhere else, and I've
Uh-huh.
kept track of them. And I also went to college in Fort Worth, so I have some friends from there, from Fort Worth, that I've also moved around. So, like, I'm really big on keeping connections with people I really connected with. You know.
Mhm. Amazing. Very good.
Mhm.
Next question. Let's do it.
Okay.
Before the next question, as you mentioned at the beginning of the interview regarding you are a mental health advocate, yeah? In your
Mhm.
opinion, what is the biggest, nowadays, the world we live in right now, what's the biggest cause of mental health issues in your opinion?
I think one of the biggest is the lack of systemic support.
Mhm.
And when I say systemic, I mean not just the big system of here in America, but as like the what you're able to access before you get into an emergency, but also family support, because there are a lot of families that don't believe mental health is a real issue. You know, it's easy to get sympathy for a physical problem, but when you say like, I'm just I'm going through some, you know, and people will be like, they want to give you one of these little one-liners that they hope will help, but it doesn't. It's just like, okay, that's I've heard that before. That's nothing new. So community support really makes a big difference in mental health.
I think nowadays, I think we are lucky in a way because people, they talk a lot about it right now. I think every day, you can see that on social media, on TV, or advertisement on the streets, on the public transport. There's always somewhere, and I think it's so important because before, as I remember growing up, I never heard that before growing up.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? And
yeah.
it's funny because even ourselves, sometimes you go like, oh, I was confused when I heard for the first time the word mental health. I was a bit confused, you know what I mean? So I did some research. I was like, okay, now I understand that. And I think we are educating ourselves even more right now, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
Everyone is embracing, like companies, everywhere.
yeah,
I think it's so important to do that because I think people, they are more and more aware, and I think it's a positive thing.
hmm yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Right,
awareness.
absolutely. Right, next question is, what is your morning ritual?
Oh, okay. So it's gotten pretty extensive. So first thing I do when I wake up, I try to think about something I'm grateful for even before I even get out of bed. And then I will do some floor stretches. So I've done yoga now for the past 8 years.
Well,
And recently I've had to modify it because of my injury, but I still like to move. So I'll do some floor twists. I um, breathe for 10 seconds in each pose, in each direction of floor twist. Um, and so do a little bit of yoga to finally close it with with the Om or tree pose. So sort of gather the new energy for the day and like center it into myself. And then I do and then I'll open my blinds and go make some oatmeal. And listen to some spa music or like old traditional um, church music, like gothic choral music, while I eat my oatmeal.
Do you consider yourself to be more of a day or night person?
Day person for sure. Yeah,
Always been?
I'm day person. Even when I was little, I would wake up early, and now I wake up at 6:30. I might not get out of bed until like 8:30, but yeah, I prefer mornings. I will happily wake up at 3 o'clock to flight and be awake all day than catch like a midnight flight.
Amazing. Next question. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Hey, Ever from Houston in Texas. Next question is, if you could be a character in a movie, who that would be and why?
Okay. So I've been watching a lot of Indian movies recently. So if I could be a character in a movie, I would love to be a Hindu queen in a period piece. In a
Wow.
historical drama, yeah, an Indian historical drama. That's because they're so beautiful and oh my goodness, their outfits and the jewelry and the acting and the whole story, and to live in a palace in some period where that was celebrated, especially in those movies because they really believe in their independence and their traditions without without compromising who they are. Mm-hmm.
Tell me how was growing up as a gay boy back in New Orleans. Tell me about your experience.
Okay. So New Orleans itself is a very interesting city, and there are always, especially if you go into the French Quarter itself is very gay. Even historically, it's been that way. So I'd always like heard about gay people. I went to when I was 13. I went to this play called The Bad Seed, but it was an all drag play in this little theater called Le Chat Noir, which doesn't exist anymore. But and so that was like my first instance of like being surrounded by the gay man and then seeing it on stage. And it was for my birthday. I think my mom made a mistake. But we wanted to see a play. She didn't realize it was a drag play, but it was fine. She was like, "Don't tell your dad." So, so yeah. So the element was around, but never really engaged with it until I was much older, not until really college. But there were always it was there. Like I always knew I was different.
Mm-hmm.
And when I have a lot of cousins. I have like 22 cousins.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah, Creole Catholics. So, yeah. So when I would hang out with a lot of my cousins, and it was like the boys and the girls, I loved like hanging out with the girls and listening to the gossip. And I would paint my little cousin Geneva's nails. It didn't mean anything to me. That's just what I was doing. I remember one time my mom caught us. Let's say caught, but she was just checking on us, and like I got scared, and my mom was like, "Don't worry, I won't tell your daddy." And that's something I even forgot about until my cousin Geneva, who I'm still close with, brought it up one time like a year ago. I'm like, wow, I didn't even, I never made that connection that early, but it was definitely, so it was always there. And so it's been kind of tough in a way because I have a hard time like hiding who I am. Even though, I have a hard time hiding who I am. So it came out here and there as I was growing up. Even I went to Catholic school in 8th grade and early 9th grade. It was co-ed, but the students thought I was gay, and I didn't even, again, never even registered at that time. But was pretty much, it was like, uh, what's the word? Like teased about it, but very like undercover, like side comments.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and so that was in, so that was kind of hard too. But and then we lived in Dallas for a while, and that's when I went to high school and then college. And even then, people would say things, I would just ignore them, like, oh, I'm just intellectual, I'm just artsy, just different, whatever. And so finally, I came out in college and stuff. I took this. This is what made the big difference. I took a class, Oscar Wilde's Through the Wild Years, not knowing anything about Oscar Wilde, but I took it for my history credit. And
Right.
so, little did I know it was like almost a gay literature class, because Oscar Wilde was one of the pioneers of gay literature, um, very famous rather for it. So I started to identify a lot with who he was as a person, and I could relate in so many ways. I was like, oh, okay. So I started getting more comfortable with it. Yeah. And then I joined this organization at TCU called the Gay Straight Alliance,
Uh-huh.
and I met some other gays there, and I felt like the most comfortable I ever felt. And I was like, okay, so it's definitely okay. So I am gay, and then it was a process of like coming out to my parents. Um, and that was, I think I was 20, and my mom pulled me out the closet. Yeah, she pulled me out. She was very kind about it. She's like, you know, we. Well, let me tell you the story. What brought it up though? So, she she asked to use my computer, and she found something called like Gay Christian Network, which I was glad that's what she found. So
It was a preparation for her to get soft somehow.
yeah, yeah. So it was like porn. So anyway, she put me out the closet. She was saying, you know, we've all known you were gay. We just were waiting for you to come out.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty emotional, because at that point I was trying so hard to hide it, especially
Mm-hmm.
at 20. Um, and yeah, so it was nice to be, honestly, it was nice to be addressed.
Yeah.
And I think, and what I told her at the time was like, the biggest guilt I had about it was, at the time I was trying to come to terms with being gay and Christian at the time. Like, how does that work? Because I knew I had a relationship with God, but over here they're saying something over that. So I would feel like I'd have established a pretty good relationship with God and continuing. But so I was trying to find my own way in that. And then, you know, as the oldest son of the only boy, and my dad's the only boy. He has 7 sisters. And so like also felt like that was sort of in like traditional sense, like it was my responsibility to be the oldest and have kids, and this family would look normal. Um, and so I had to really come to terms with that as well. And I was afraid of being treated differently, because also I'm very close to my extended family, and they treat me so well. I was like,
Wow.
God, if I come out, they treat me differently, you know? And thankfully, for the most part, they haven't treated me any differently. There are a few of them who act kind of funny, but they're not around that often anyway. So thank goodness. But yeah, and then my dad, it was interesting. Before my mom pulled me out, my dad asked me twice, and one time is because um, our cleaning lady found a thong in my laundry. She was like, "Boys don't wear that," and she told my dad without even talking to me about it. And then, and so my dad was like, "The housekeeper found this. Are you actually gay?" I was like, "God, you can't." I didn't want that association of that being what gay is, because that's not a whole picture, nor does that fully represent me as a person in that, the context of it. If it had been different context, it would have been like, yeah. So I just sat and listened. I didn't deny nor
Confirm.
that was confess. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So, but then he asked me again, maybe months later, because my Mima, my grandmother, saw my legs were shaved. And she looked at me. I was on spring break from college visiting her in New Orleans. And she said, Evan, are you celibate? I'm like, this is like all out the blue. We just had lunch. I was like, yeah. And she goes, is that all you are? I'm like, oh, yes. And I tried to defend myself like, there's so many who shave their legs. Why is this such a big deal? And then of course she obviously she called my dad about it. And then my dad called me to his office. He was like, meet me at the dealership at this time. I'm like, oh God, okay. And he asked me again, and he did this big like, you know the movie The Lion King where he tells Simba that look upon this is yours. It was very much that. Like no matter what, this is yours. You're always my son, which is very thoughtful, but it was also kind of
Scary.
scary.
Yeah.
And how it came about, it was like I was in trouble, yeah. So I didn't confess at that point either, but it was maybe a year after that was when I finally came out.
Amazing. Good. I think all of us, we have those like those moments in life, and that we're not prepared to talk about. We know the truth, but we're not prepared. We don't know how to address.
Yeah.
It can be tricky, but I think all of us go through that, and I think that's the beauty as well somehow. Not all the time, because some people, they have really difficult, drastic moments, but I think some of them, when you look back, you go like, actually that was just something that I didn't know how to deal with, but was like a big
yeah.
Yeah. Right. I have 3 questions left for you. Let's do it. All right. Next question is, who was your first crush and why?
Oh. So this boy, when I was in 3rd grade, we had a new classmate come in like halfway through the year, and he was my first crush. I don't know why. I just, 3rd grade. You know what? He was new. I think that was the appeal. Like he was new.
And who was your first love?
The guy I dated in college for a little bit. He's gone. He was, grown.
I like the way you said, very discreet. The guy in the college, but he's gone. Very discreet, you said. I love it. 2 questions left. Let's do it. Next one. Okay, Evan, next question is, what is your idea of a perfect day?
A perfect day? Oh, okay. Getting coffee with a friend. We talk for like 2 hours. And then go to a museum. Spend a few hours at the museum. Maybe the friend comes along, maybe I'll go by myself. Because I like to really stop and stare at the pieces. And then come home, relax, and then go out to dinner with a group of friends, and then we get drinks. Or maybe even go to the ballet. I love the ballet.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a perfect day.
I love ballet as well. Can you dance ballet or no? Just like watching?
No, I love watching. So I have a cousin and some friends who are professional ballet dancers. So I loved it I was first introduced to it with the movie Black Swan, which if you tell it to other ballet dancers, they're like, that's awful. but they hate that movie. But um, yeah, I loved the music, and I learned the music was to the actual ballet Swan Lake, and
Mm-hmm.
I started loving the music. And then once I saw it in person, I was hooked. And then because my cousin is a retired ballet dancer now, but he would he would get free tickets, so I go see him. And then I have friends here who are also in the ballet, so I get to go pretty frequently. So I love to watch. I love the arts in general, but ballet is something different from the to be able to put especially classical music with movement,
It's
and
beautiful.
then yeah, and for someone to successfully express that
It,
music with the whole body and put the
yes.
dedication into having it flow and and really transcends the movement and the music. Oh.
It's breathtaking. I totally
Yeah,
agree. When I'm watching as well, I go like, oh my God, I cannot think about anything else. I'm just focused in the moments there. It's beautiful.
yeah. My aunt teases me because I cry at the ballet.
Oh, ready for the last one?
Yeah, yeah.
Next question. Let's do it. Before the last question, tell me what's the biggest similarity between Jaja Galu and Evan, and the biggest difference between both?
The biggest similarity. Oh gosh. I think the biggest similarity is just the level of like how I present myself. I like to present myself well in general, um, and the level of I like to connect with people too. It's just that when I'm in as Jaja, it'll be different. The connection will be a little different. Initial connection will be a little different than when I'm uh, in this mode. Yes, Evan. Biggest difference? Oh, um, Jaja will go up to people and talk to them like no matter what they're. Yeah, whereas Evan, a little more apprehensive. I do even in Evan mode, I do tend to meet random people. Like if I'm sitting at a bar, I'll talk to people, but it's a little more inhibited than if I were in
Hmm,
drag. Mhm.
interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
Last question for you is, what are you most passionate about?
I was thinking about that earlier. What am I passionate about? I think right now, um, learning. So I get bored easily, and learning, even in this time when I have limited mobility, is it because of my arm,
Mhm.
and sort of having to balance out my life that way. Um, when I'm learning, I I feel better, even if I'm like in physical pain. Um, the ability to learn has really helped me actually do this. And not just learning like facts on YouTube or online or in books, because I read a lot too, but learning other people's experiences and how they view the world, and maybe even sharing my view, and in the exchange of our views, we both learn something.
I'm going to ask you a tough question right now. You don't need to answer if you don't want to, but my question is, do you think this accident event that happened in your life, a few months ago, do you think that it meant to happen?
Yes, but in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it has forced me to slow down a lot,
Okay.
and I'm learning a lot of patience. Whereas before, I was very much like, go. I was just going. Like, if I, like, I would work during the week and on weekends, I would have my social calendar just ready to go and
Wow.
go to kind of events. And I was, um, very much like let's like my cousin describes go first, ask later. So it was very much that. And this accident has really made me stop and um, assess who I really am outside of those things, outside of socializing with people, outside of my job title, outside of my drag title, um, and really learn what's important for me.
I see.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, it's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game, okay? I'm going to
Okay.
give away some words, just one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking, okay?
Okay.
Let's start. So, I hope you are enjoying the interview. Before we do the word association game, don't forget to give a like, don't forget to share this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click on the button right there. Thank you so much and enjoy the word association game. Let's start with politics.
Oh, disaster.
Okay. Life.
Life. Interesting.
Love.
Oh, deep.
Money.
Green.
Family.
Oh, comfort.
Sex.
Fun times.
Religion.
Say it again. Oh, religion. Oh,
Yeah.
complex.
Fear.
Signal.
Friendship.
Bonding.
Desire.
Oh, say it again.
Desire.
Desire. Passion.
Regret.
Lessons.
Success.
Oh, success. Oh, multifaceted.
Wish.
Wish. Dreams.
One word for happiness.
Contentment.
Okay. One word for New Orleans.
Unique.
One word for Houston.
Diverse.
USA. One word.
Troubled.
Right. And one word for Jajagalu.
One word? Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to break the rules on this one. Ethereal being. Okay, one word, majestic. There we go. Done. Divine.
Wow.
Okay, yeah. We'll just say divine.
Amazing. I love it. It suits very well because you are very elegant. The way you talk, the way you pose yourself, you are very elegant. So it suits you very well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Let's pretend now if I'm going to meet Jajagalu for a coffee, yeah? And I'm going to ask her, tell me the most beautiful thing about Evan and something that he still needs to work on, to improve on. What should say?
Yeah. So the most beautiful thing, and truly cares about people, and he'll show up when he's needed. But also one thing to work on with that is boundaries and self-doubt, because there's also this willingness to help so much that Evan forgets about himself.
Very interesting. Wow. Let's play now Evan and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. But before that, let's play the music one more time. Let's do it.
Okay.
Even dancing, you look elegant. I love it.
Thank you. I woke up like this, so whatever.
You can ask me a question now.
Okay. Oh, so think about a time during a transition, a major life change. What did you do to help you during that time? What did you find helpful?
Right. It's interesting, the question, because as you mentioned before, your accident, you're always on the go. Yeah, you're always, doing things. And I connect myself as well, because I always been as well, you know what I mean? The goal, always, being, I never allowed myself to be doing nothing. For me, that was
Mm,
impossible to happen. For me, it was like, no, I cannot do that. I would
mm,
give myself a hard time if I would find myself doing nothing. Yeah. So for me, the
mhm.
2020, when the world went upside down, yeah, because of the COVID crisis, I literally found
Yeah.
myself locked. You know what I mean? And I couldn't be myself as I always been. And that for me was the moment when I had the opportunity to reflect about myself that I never did in the past. Never. I remember I never
Mm,
allowed myself to think about things that I never wondered before. And going through that time, very dark time that everyone, in the world was facing at the time, I literally found myself in a position that I had no choice. I need to go deeper um, in me, inside me, and to understand a few things that I never allowed myself to understand. Or those things in our life you just put on the side, you don't think about it, you just don't want to go there. So during that time,
mhm,
I had no choice. I need to go there because it was
mhm.
so strong. The feeling of being alone, of not being able to see people, not being able to to do things that I've always been doing in my life. So
Yeah.
for me, doing this transition between um, on the go all the time and suddenly doing nothing, for me was a big deal for me. And
Mm,
I'm so grateful for that. Besides the sadness that brought up for a lot of people around the world, at the same time as well, I'm grateful for the time, because that was the magical moment for me to understand myself much better than I never thought before. So that for me
yeah.
was, let's say, the big deal of my life was this moment that the world literally stopped. And
Mhm.
I couldn't do things because it wasn't anymore about myself. I couldn't do because I was, there are rules to be followed. I need to
Yeah.
be at home. I need to be there. So for me, that was the moment where I grew up the most, and but the hardest as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can relate.
Yeah. Yes. Sometimes life gives you those surprises that you're not expecting, and there's always a message behind, even though you don't see straight away. But through the time, you're gonna understand why. And now I can see a lot of things that I needed to go through that time for sure to understand a lot about myself as I do now, for sure.
Mhm.
Eva, did you have a good time?
I did. This is great. This is great.
Thank you so much for taking the time for the interview, and thanks so much for bringing your elegance to the show. I love it.
Thank you.
Before
Give
you
me more
go,
compliments.
before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Ooh, positive. Ah, hmm. Pay attention to what your body is telling you in different instances. What I mean is, I've learned so um, uh, I tend to get a little anxious, and sometimes it's unwarranted. It means something, whether
Mhm.
that means I'm uncomfortable with this person or why am I uncomfortable. Even as, or let's say, even if you're feeling great, like what is it about this moment and where your body's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm loving life right now. You know, there's a lot that goes on in the body that you can learn from if you just tune in a little bit.
Amazing. Very good. Thank you so much for the interview, and you keep in touch. It was a pleasure, okay? Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye-bye. See you next time.